Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. We're here today with special guest, Tessia Watson, who's here to share with us her book and work, Rejuvenated Mums Make Happy Kids, the wisdom guide that will transform you into a happier mother and help you set an example for your children. So are you a mother and you just feel overworked and underappreciated and that there's no time left for you? Well, today's guest is going to share with us how to change that dynamic. Tessia Watson is an internationally best-selling author and highly successful childcare pioneer who helps families navigate how to be happier with happier kids. A single mother of 2 young kids, Tessia quickly learned that parenting is the most amazing experience, but also can be unbearably tough without the right support. Recognizing her own need, Tessia created a program that is free from the obligations that make traditional UK childcare so inflexible and inaccessible to most parents. This business allows Tessia to support other mothers and enrich the lives of their children. So welcome to the show, Tessia Watson.
Thank you so much, Marianne, for having me. Such a pleasure to be here.
What an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. What inspired you to write this?
So what inspired me is I just realized that the way I was experiencing motherhood was not, the way I wanted to experience it. And when I started to make changes in my life, I just thought that I had to share my story for mothers as well out there that think that it's happening, what they are experiencing, what they are going through, it's not the right way. And there is a better way. And I thought that by sharing my story, they can probably find, their own way. What, is for them, a great, motherhood experience.
It seems when it comes to a motherhood experience, a lot of people have this idea that we should work all the time and then we've got kids and there's no time for us. So then how should we be looking at this different?
I think it's just the belief. We just believe that it has to happen this way, that we have to work and there is just no time for us. And if you think this way, then it's exactly the kind of, journey you will experience. And I thought that way. I was not working. I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. That was a personal decision. Really happy with that. But I still had the same, kind of thinking. It was just all about them every single day, 24/7. So it was about, making sure, they're happy, they're enough stimulated, going out, make sure they're healthy. So I was cooking food. And I just came to a point that I was, wait a minute, what about me? And it was not a sudden, I would say, realization. It was progressive. I had this inner voice, almost every day telling me this is not the right way. It must, there is another way. I have to find it. But I was not really paying attention to that voice, to that inner voice saying me that. And because it was there, constantly there, at some point, I was like, I need to do an introspection here. I need to take a step back and just, figure out what I really want, how I want to experience motherhood. Do I want to be 24/7 with them or not? Do I want to have some time for myself or not? Do I want to exercise or go out with some friends or, the things that I used to do before becoming a mother? I started to ask myself questions about how I want to experience it, how I want to be a mother, what kind of mother I want to be. And I had to respond to those questions. So progressively, I started to respond. And I decided that I don't want to be with them 24/7. I want to have some time for myself to do whatever I want. I want to go back to the gym. I want to go out with some friends without the children, because I was always, organizing play dates with friends who have children as well. But it's not about us really. It's still again about the children. You're not really there for each other. You're there, for your children. They're still your priority, and you make sure that, you watch out for them. So I asked, all those questions, and I replied and answered, and that's when things started to change. So it's all about deciding for yourself, what do you want?
What a powerful way to look at that. And I love how in your book you describe it, how you didn't have postpartum depression, but you were just weary, unbearably exhausted and having this huge lack of sleep. And I think so many moms go through that.
It's awful. It's awful because I can't compare really with the other moms, because we all know that it's the baby's reputation to not sleep throughout the night. We all know that. Okay, that's a fact. But I didn't know for my first one. The second, it didn't happen this way. But for the first one, I knew this. So I was ready. Okay, I'm gonna sleep, sorry, maybe every 2 hours, maybe every 3 hours. That's fine. No, didn't happen like that. As soon as I had done, breastfeeding him, and he was sleeping on the breast, and I was, putting him back in his cot, he was waking up straight away, all night long. All night long. I couldn't believe this. I was desperate. I didn't know what to do. So at the time we had here in London, so I'm based in London, we had breastfeeding support group. So I was going to those kind of support group, and they were explaining me that some babies are like that. They're even worse than, the baby that just don't sleep throughout the night and wake up every 2 or 3 hours. And I was like, oh no, I don't know how to handle that. But I never thought that out there was a solution. Never it came to my mind to even think maybe someone can help or there's a solution. No. I was like, that's it. I have to go through it, and I just will do my best. So I was crying every night because the lack of sleep was just unbearable. And I was like, it will pass each day, because the baby is supposed to grow. So it will pass at some point. And it's only years later that I've learned about what could have saved my life, if I can say it this way. And I've met my friend Mathilde, and she said to me the first time that we've met that she is a maternity nurse. And I was like, okay, what is that? And she said to me, we come to the house and we just, stay overnight. So the parents can have, some sleep. I think I didn't cry, but I was almost about to cry because I was kind of, relieving those nights that, was a nightmare for me. And I was like face to face with the solution that existed at the time, but I was just not aware. So it was a lack of awareness that anything you need in life is already out there. The fact that it's not yet into your life is because you didn't look for it. And that's when I started to shift as well in terms of the way I think. And I never think now that when I'm facing a problem, there is not a solution. I know that there is one. It's just all about me deciding that I want to find it.
So, what does rejuvenation mean to you?
So rejuvenation means anything, that can make you feel whole and new again. Anything that can, revitalize you, or, you can just feel more lively. So I think from a mother to another mother, it could be different. Um, it could be for anyone, to work out, for instance. You just feel rejuvenated just after an hour of exercise. But for another mom, it could be simply to, get a coffee with some friends. And so anything that just make you feel, yes, more in peace, more energetic. Um, and then when you're back to your role as a mother, you just, happier, more attentive to your children. So the whole experience, it's just so different, because your vibrations are different. You are positive, so that's what you're going to express, and your children will notice and will benefit from it. So and this, I mentioned it in the book, it's our responsibility. We have to find what makes us, more present, more happy, and just go for it. We take action and just do it. Whatever, pleases us, whatever we like to do, what kind of activity doesn't really matter. It's just all about what this experience makes you feel.
So, when we talk about rejuvenation of the mind and our body, what does that look like?
So, for instance, if we take as an example the body and what I do for myself, I love to have a massage at least every month now. And this is for me an extraordinary, relaxing tool. And I had one just 2 weeks ago. And when I came back, when the boys were, at home and I came back to my role, I was just, wow. I felt that I was, on clouds, and they could feel that. And I was on clouds for a couple of hours. So this is just one example, but it could be anything, stretching as well, doing some yoga, exercising, making sure you sleep well. That's so important as well. And that you eat healthy as well, because obviously you're going to be more energetic and you're going to feel good, in your body. And in the mind, it could be, anything that helps you be more positive. Let's say, think more positive. So we tend too often as mothers to be anxious about different things. It's a big, responsibility to become a mother, and that's absolutely normal to have, doubts, fears, or anxiety. And if you decide to rejuvenate and to find some practices that will help, in terms of the way you think, and help you focus on something else that, always thinking about, oh, but what should I do for the baby, or, all these kind of thoughts. I've experienced, and I did it a lot. I loved reading. So that was a great one for me, because you have to focus on one thing, and it's just about, the pages in front of you and the story. So that's a great way to calm your mind and to be more at peace, and not just, thinking about, other things or your kids, for instance. So that was a great one. I gave different, examples in the book, such as, spending time as well with your friends, with your partner. It's something that I really stopped to do when I had the boys. I just stopped going on dates, and it just impacted us in a negative way. And it's not something that I recommend, because you're not just a mother, you are as well. I mean, in my case, I was, with someone, so I was a partner as well. And I stopped being a partner, a romantic partner, because I just didn't know how I could have, I could do both, and I think it's the ignorance, the lack of awareness, and you just think that there's something that you can't do, which is not right. And when you start to realize, then you can start to change. In my case, for instance, there was, a solution, and it's, hiring a nanny, or, if you want to go out with your partner or with some friends, whatever, you need to have someone to care for your child. So that's the solution. But of course, if you don't want to take that solution, then try to find another one if you have a family member around, but that's not my case. So you just don't go out anymore. So it's up to you. It's really up to what do you want to do.
It's so nice that this is a roadmap for mothers that they can at least go, okay, I give myself permission to get a nanny to watch, my child at night so I can sleep and I can get a massage and spend a little time with my friends so I can start taking care of myself.
Yes. Yes. And because nowadays, family, is not really around. So if you don't have any family members, that can support you and help you, what do you do then? You don't do anything. You stay with the child all the time. You don't go out. You stop living for yourself and you just live for your child. That is something that you need to think deeply if it's something that you really want to experience. And if you can't trust anyone nowadays as well, it's better, because lots of people are, giving reviews or recommendations. So when you contact someone that you don't know, you can check, ahead the references, and other parents will tell you, she's great, she's brilliant, we know her since, a couple of years, whatever. We trust her. The kids, absolutely love her. And, you can be more comfortable. But that's the way we have to go now. When you don't have your family around, that's the way to go. Otherwise, you stop living for yourself.
I was so impressed that you have a chapter that talks about forgiving yourself as a mom. And I found that so important because, gosh, moms really do put a lot of pressure on themselves.
Too much pressure. And we've all been there. And mistakes are part, of the journey. So whatever you've done, in the past, it's now in the past. And without doing the mistake, you can't really grow. Because I can give an example, for instance, and I share that in the book. I remember one time when one of my child was, in the bathroom, and he just, he went for a pee, and I just look at him, and I know he was about, to put some on the floor, and I was like, no, I can't have that. I don't want to clean. I don't want to clean up now. So I pushed him, and I think he was around 5 or 6 years old, and he looked at me and said, "Don't push me." And I replied, "I didn't push you. I just, put you closer, to the toilet." And I just reflected back on, that situation just a couple of hours after that. And I knew that what he said was right. I literally pushed him, but that was not a big mistake. Okay. It's not a big mistake. It's just, I didn't acknowledge at the time that what I did was what I did. I tried to kind of find another way to say it more nicely. And I went back to him and I said, you know what? You were right. I pushed you and I'm sorry. And I explained why. And automatically, and I said, I'm sorry. He said to me, that's okay, Mom. I love you. That was his answer, literally. And I was like, wow, they just appreciate so much, when we acknowledge, recognize, our mistakes. And when we explain as well why, we behave that way. And it made me realize that I will just, make sure that I practice more and more, because I've never grew up in this kind of environment when my mom, does something wrong and she at some point, comes back to me and say, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I shouldn't, shout at you, or I should have should have done that. And no, I didn't learn that at that time, because that was not the way, I've been raised. So it's something that I had to decide that I want to, experience as a mother, and that I want to teach my children. And it was a great lesson, and it reminded me straight away how important it is. That is part, saying sorry, it's part of the process to forgive yourself as well. And it helps you so much. And as soon as you've done it, you don't even think about that anymore. You just don't. But what makes me saying that now is just the fact that I've made that mistake. I've learned from it, that from now I want to recognize, acknowledge when I'm, wrong, if I can notice, obviously, and I want to say it out loud. And I would never had this kind of attitude if I didn't have made the mistake. So it helps us grow. It helps us succeeding. Mistakes are just a way to point out, the way, the direction to success. Because why? You just become a better person.
Well, I'm sure that your children are just over the moon happy to have a mom like you that is working with them and growing with them. I mean, how often do we have parents that learn from their parents, and so we've got this succession of maltreatment, or just not really having them be happy because they don't know how to be happy as parents.
Yes, thank you so much for the compliment. But yes, the boys would definitely say that we have the greatest mom, because they know that I'm making mistakes. They know my imperfections, and I'm not hiding, behind them. I'm just teaching them that we all have, imperfection, and that is okay.
So, how do we raise confident and happy children?
I think the best way to raise happy and, confident children is by example. They learn, through us. They're just modeling what they're seeing, what they, experiencing as children. So to ensure that, they're happy and striving, just do that. Just be happy as a mother. Just, take care of yourself. Take some time for yourself. Care for them. If you are happy, in peace, confident, they will automatically be.
I love how in your book you talk about the intuitive mom, and I'm pretty sure there's all mothers out there are like, "Oh yes, I'm intuitive. I know when my kid's doing something, what's going on." So, what can you explain a little bit about that with us?
I think we all have it inside of us. I think some mothers, might have develop it more than others. But intuition, it's really this inner voice telling you something. And some people, they just trust that inner voice, and some that don't really, and that's okay, because maybe it's not, something for now that they can really listen to or whatever. But if you want to become a more intuitive, mother, you just have to be more present in your daily life, in terms of present and attentive to your children. I remember when my kids were babies, and I was really attentive on their way of, crying, for instance. And so naturally, I knew what type of cry was when, it was loud or a bit less loud. I knew that. I knew if it was for because they needed to be changed, or I knew it's because something when, there was something wrong. And this, you develop it because you are a present mother, meaning you are in the moment when you care for them. So you can pick up all those cues, and that makes you more intuitive, and you can, figure out that you kind of naturally, you just know. And I think it's very, very powerful. And I think I really encourage every mothers to investigate a bit more and to listen more to that inner voice. And I've learned that the inner voice is God, talking to us. So I think it's important to be to tune in, to really listen.
What are some ways that mothers can either redefine who they are, or in many ways kind of being the caretaker of their children to kind of rediscovering who they are?
They need to ask themselves. They need to connect to their core self and ask themselves what I love to do. And they need to know their wants. And once they know what they love to do, their wants, they will know who they are, because who they are is what, is all their desires. All their desires represent, who they truly are. So I think most of the time we put our desires aside when we become mothers. But if you don't do that, you just, make sure they're still here, and you make sure that you take action to make sure that you reach your goals, or you, achieve your dreams, while being, present and as much as you can, and there for your children. Then you remain who you are. It's when you deny yourself, you put all your wants and all your desires on the side, and you just focus on one thing. And maybe for some mothers, it's absolutely fine. They just realize that's who they are, or at least who they want to be, or to become. And for some others, and it was my case, I know that I'm not just a mother. I'm a friend as well. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and I still want to have relationship with, my family members. I'm, someone who loves to go out. That's, who I am. So I'm not just a mother. And I know that by deciding on what I want to do, apart from just being a mother. And that's when it's your wants, it's your desires.
My goodness, Tessia. I mean, we could talk forever. I just loved your book, Rejuvenated Moms. Where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your book and be part of your community?
So they can find me at tessiawatson.com. So that's the website. And regarding Rejuvenated Moms Make Happy Kids, it's on Amazon. So they can find the book there.
And if someone wants to work with you, let's say they have read the book and feel like they need a little bit more, coaching, do you do coaching sessions as well?
Yes, they can definitely send me an email, contact me through the website as well. All the details are there.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you, Tessia. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your book and work, Rejuvenated Moms Make Happy Kids. Rejuvenated Moms Make Happy Kids is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. And remember, support our indie bookstores. If you don't see it on the shelf, just ask for them to order it. Also, make sure to visit Tessia's website at tessiawatson.com. That's spelled Tessia Watson.com for more information on her work and to be part of her community. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.